I try not to do too many of these like fan casting things on the site because last time I did anything like this, it was Wheel of Time and the comments got nasty. So I usually try to avoid these kind of things. But look, guys, I love Dune, so I've got to talk about how I would fan cast Dune Part 2. Hey, what's up, bookworms, sandworms, and fighting Fremen? Mike back again to talk a little more Dune, namely Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2. Now, we do got the green light for Dune Part 2, so we're going to get the second half of Frank Herbert's amazing 1965 novel. And I am obviously very, very excited about this. So what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about who I would cast in some of these roles. Now, guys, I want you to understand before I get going, this is a wish list. This isn't what I think will happen. It's not what I think is probable. This is, hey, Mike, you're sitting in the casting chair. Who are you going to cast in these roles? That's what I'm going to talk about here. And yes, a lot of it is stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense probably to some people. But again, these are just who I kind of imagine. I've had different names and faces for these roles through the years over this. I've always tried to kind of update it with what the modern actors are and things like that. So that's just kind of what I'm doing. If I was doing this right now with the current batch of actors going around, who I would cast in some of these roles. We're going to talk about those now. But again, like I want to say, just my opinion. Please don't read anything more into it other than just what I was thinking when I wrote this up. So here we go, guys. We're going to begin with Staban Corrino IV. This is the Padishah, Emperor of the known universe, and obviously the biggest omission from Dune Part 1. This is the one that I think that everyone is kind of talking about right now. Now, look, what I want to say about this is that the Emperor and Princess Irulan are obviously going to be tied because they need to have some kind of, need to look familial, right? They need to look like they are related. So obviously, those names are going to be tied. So I've got a couple of them I want to talk about here, and then when I do Irulan, I'm going to compare them to if they cast that person who I would cast as like the pairing. So that's what I'm going to do here. Now, with the Emperor, you've got all the same names floating around the internet. Everybody wants Mads Mikkelsen. Everybody wants Idris Elba. Basically, those two guys get cast by the internet in every single role out there these days. Hell, I've even seen Idris Elba cast in some female roles. It's amazing. So, yes, the internet loves them. For me, I don't see either one of them really as the Emperor. Would I be mad with either of those? Of course not. But that's just not kind of what I was envisioning. So I'm not going to do the popular picks on that one. For me, with the Emperor, I don't think he needs to look inherently sinister per se. Yeah, cool. He's ruling in power with an iron fist. I don't think that he needs to be the mustache twirling bad guy. He can look normal. He can look like a normal person, I think. He doesn't have to look really, really evil. So what I'm going for with this is the first pick that I have for this is Jared Harris. You might know him from Mad Men. You might know him from The Expanse. You might know him from the new Foundation adaptation. I think the guy just has great delivery. He has an amazing speaking voice, and he can look sinister if he has to, but he always looks in control. I think he looks approachable, but again, he always looks like he has a plan. Just the way that he delivers lines, especially on Foundation, is when I really thought, man, he would actually make a really awesome Corrino. So that's kind of who I would really roll with. If you're giving me carte blanche to do anyone that I want for this, I think I would go with him because I think that he would just really deliver some of those lines and have that imposing presence that I think the Emperor needs to have when he enters the room. He demands that you pay attention to him. So I think that'd be a really, really great pick. Another one, now this one's going to be where you'll see me do this a couple times on this list, is Denis likes to reuse a lot of the same actors and actresses in his movies. He's recycled them more than once. So some of them, I'm kind of going to admit to doing that a little bit. Now, when I was fan casting Dune Part 1 in my head, I imagined Hugh Jackman as Duke Leto. So I'm going to go ahead and put him in for the Emperor here because they worked really great together in Prisoners. I thought that was one of Hugh Jackman, maybe his best performance ever in that role. And I think the Emperor needs to be about late 50s, early 60s in age here. And I think that he would, it's hard to think now because people have known him for Wolverine so long. I think Hugh Jackman's getting up there, and I think that he doesn't quite have to be as aged looking as he did when he played Logan or whatever or anything like that. I think about his performance in The Prestige. I think that, or Greatest Showman, showing that he can, again, command a room just by being in the room. He can make you pay attention to him. And again, great line delivery. I mean, the Emperor has some bomb-ass lines, I think, that need to be delivered here. And I think that obviously he would be great to do it. But I admit that is one just because I feel like they work so well together. in that last time they worked together. I'd like to see them connect again. And I still think he would make a great Leto, even though I did like Oscar Isaac's performance there. Last one here. This one's going to kind of be maybe a little bit off the radar. I will guarantee probably no one else has made this pick. How about that? If they wanted to go completely a little different here, and I could see them doing that, I'm going with Hiroyuki Sanada. Now, most people are like, who? He is in The Last Samurai. He's in Westworld. He's going to be in the new adaptation of Shogun. He plays Scorpion in the new Mortal Kombat movie. I've seen this guy in things over the years. He had a small role on the TV series Revenge. And just this guy is just always just seems like he's 2 steps ahead of everyone. He seems very, very calculating. And that's something I could see the Emperor doing, the type that is very manipulative, pulling the strings all from the background. I think he even had a small role in Avengers Endgame. I don't recall, but you've seen the guy before, I guarantee. And I think that he would just have a really, really commanding presence. Again, I think that they want to go kind of maybe a little bit Eastern with the look. I think that would be really, really awesome idea, because I can just think about the wardrobe for the Imperium. It's just going to be next level, and I think that he would really, really be great in that role. Like I said, Mortal Kombat, not that good of a movie. I thought his performance was really good in that, and again, everything I've ever seen him in, I feel like he just knocks it out of the park, and I think he could be a really, really interesting spin on this character, and I'd love to see it. Let's go ahead and move along to his daughter here. This is Princess Irulan Corrino, the first heir to the Padishah Emperor, or the eldest heir, I guess you would say, because he does not have any sons, and that is obviously a big plot point in the series here. Now, Anya Taylor-Joy seems to be the new internet casting darling. I see every role that comes up for a lady now, she is the first name that seems to come up. She's very much become like the Idris Elba of the internet, and that no matter what role comes up, she's the first name I see forever. Not really how I imagine Irulan. Again, same. If she did get cast in that, would I be upset about it? Of course not. I think she's a very, very good actress. You probably know her from Queen's Gambit. That's the big one on Netflix. I saw her first in The Witch. And as much as I didn't really care for that movie, I said the performances were great. I just didn't care for the plot of that movie. But yeah, she does seem to be like the hot ticket right now when it comes to any kind of fan casting. With me, I'm gonna kind of compare this to the castings with who I cast as the Emperor. Now, if it is Jared Harris, I would go with Emma Roberts. Now, some of you guys may not know her. She's mostly been a TV actress. American Horror Story is really where she's made her name, so to speak. I think she's like the niece or something of Julia Roberts. So she's got her connections. I don't know how much that matters in things like this. But just I think the way that her eyes almost have she's got great beauty, but her eyes almost have kind of like that distant sadness that I think this character really, really needs. If you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. And I think the Irulan, obviously very stunning, but she's not very happy. And I think that's something that you can't understate, that I think that Emma Roberts is absolutely gorgeous. But like I said, she has that sadness, faraway look in her eyes that I think really is something that I would be looking for in this role. Then you got, if I would say it was Hugh Jackman, the one that I keep coming back to, and this is the one when I just reread it in September. Who I imagine this role is Haley Steinfeld. You might know her from True Grit, the True Grit remake, Edge of 17. She was really great in that, and Bumblebee. So I think that she has the look. She has the look again. She looks like she could be Hugh Jackman's daughter. So that one, I think I'm going a little more with the parents compared to like Hugh Jackman with this. But I think she's been great and everything, and I think that her performance in True Grit was just fantastic. I mean, she was up there with some really great actors, and she held her own, and sometimes I think she stole some scenes. So I've always been kind of a fan of her career, and I think that she would fit this role very, very well. Quite striking. She has a lot of the same features that I could imagine with Irulan. And again, I don't think I've seen a performance with her where I didn't really like it. And guys, Edge of 17 is a great, great coming-of-age movie. If you haven't seen that, I really recommend that. If you don't know much about this actress, now let's say Hiroyuki does somehow defy the odds and get this role. I'm kind of casting for that. I'm going to be honest, I do not know a lot of Japanese actresses that can speak English. And I want to say that doesn't going to matter with this role, because they can use different languages. I mean, you just heard like the Sardaukar language and things like that, and the Bene Gesserit using their own code and things. I think you can use different languages if that is a barrier. Personally, I think for a role this big, an up-and-coming actor or actress would probably learn the English for certain roles if they had to. So with this, I went with one of the ones that kind of really stuck in my memory when it first came up. I might be saying the name wrong, Tao Chushia. She was on the Alice in Borderland series on Netflix. And again, when you're going through watching a show subtitles, I only speak English and some Spanish. I can't say how good the acting is because I can't hear the line delivery very well. I haven't heard anyone complain about her acting in that. But again, with this, I'm going off of, I think that she looks like she could be Mr. Sonata's daughter. I think that would be a nice little pairing there. And again, I'm all about, hey, we don't have to get mega A-list, AAA stars to get some of these roles. These can be some roles that can make some people's careers. And I think we would need a new up-and-coming actress, especially if Mr. Sonata is the one who got that role. Let's move along to Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen, another one that's just been a hot-button topic since the show, because I think everyone was kind of stunned when he wasn't cast in the first movie. It seemed kind of weird to me. But now I think about it, you can open the next movie in the arena, I think, without getting too spoilery here. And I think it would be a really great place to introduce this character. Now, the kind of joke's been going around when Christopher and I reviewed Dune, the movie. We kind of joked. Sting played him in the original. The Jodorowsky movie that didn't get made was going to be Mick Jagger playing this role. So it was like, why do they always think they got to get a rock star to play this role? And Christopher jokingly said, well, I'll probably get Harry Styles then. And funny thing is, I'm seeing that name come up a lot. And whatever, that would be fine by me. But again, it's not who I would go with. This one's going to kind of be a little different to me. I think... the name I keep seeing getting floated around in rumors right now is Dylan Arnold. He has been in You and Halloween Kills, season 3 of You, and I was watching that recently, and I see him. I don't know. I think that Feyd needs to have almost where I don't think the Emperor has to be sinister. Almost like this guy needs to look sinister. I don't know. I think that Dylan his eyes, he just looks a little too innocent to me. And yes, guys, I study eyes when I do things like this, in case you're noticing that there. He doesn't look evil enough to me. I think the Harkonnens all need to look inherently bad. I mean, that's just the look that they have, right? Now, again, these are things that can be fixed with simple eye contacts, and things like that. And guys, these are professional actors. I understand they can probably get up for a different role. Just again, with me, that's not someone that I'm picturing. Who I picture is Alex Hogue Anderson. This is an actor from Vikings. He played Ivar the Boneless. This guy is actually an incredible actor. I felt like he can go quite visceral and just straight evil, like on the flip of a switch, and he can play it so good. He can really embrace what some people would call hamming it up, but he does it to never where you're laughing at it. You're like actually kind of like scared a little bit because he's so good at it. But he can also flip that switch and go down to a very serious role, very calm and collected, and really have you like, oh, okay, you can let the guard down a little bit before he stabs you, So again, I think he has a look. Again, you want to talk about that evil, sinister, faraway look of the eyes. He definitely has that. And I think that this is a guy, when I was watching Vikings, it was amazing. After Travis Fimmel left the show, I was like, wow, man, they just don't really have anyone that's like kind of magnetic for me to watch at this point. But him and Bjorn Ironside on that show, I think they were both really, really great. And they carried that show really, really well after he left. And a big part due to him. I think he's a classically kind of trained actor in that he actually studied Travis Fimmel's kind of, his body movements and things like that on Vikings and his attitudes and things, and he really kind of mimicked those in a way that didn't just look like he was trying to copy him. So I think the guy would take a role like this very, very seriously, and I could definitely see this being like a breakout, big film role for him. I would absolutely love that. If I got another pick, I think I'd go with Bill Skarsgård. You know him as Pennywise from It. He was also in The Eternals, that's out right now, and Atomic Blonde, or some other movies he's been in. I think he's tall. That's kind of like tall and lean, and I kind of got that out of Feyd. But he also, again, I think this is a guy that does evil very, very well. When you play Pennywise the Dancing Clown, it's going to be hard to see anything else. But I love the way this guy has like that just sinister smile, and I think that could be something you can see very much after Feyd, kills someone in the arena and just kind of has that evil smile. I think that could be a really good one. Now, I understand it might be a little too on the nose since his dad is playing the Baron. His real life father is playing the Baron. So it might be a little too on the nose. And that's kind of why I'm falling into that trap. Like when I Fancast Dune Part 1, I had Brendan Gleeson as the Baron and Domhnall Gleeson as Feyd. So I think it's this father-son thing. It's just too real for me when it comes to some of these Hollywood actors. But the Skarsgård family, they're just all so mega talented. I wouldn't mind seeing any of them cast in these movies. That's kind of where I'm leaning with Feyd. Now let's talk about some of these characters that not everyone is talking about here. Let's talk about Count Casimir Fenring. I think this is a character that is very, very important in the books, and it seems like they just kind of they don't really leave them out. They don't really have a point to them in any of these adaptations so far. So the fact that they didn't have them again in part one, it made me wonder, are they really going to, not do the Fenrings at all? So I think that it can still be done in part two. And with me, again, this is going to be the part with Count Fenring and with Lady Margot Fenring. This is where I'm going to be the part where I'm going to start to recycle some actors that Benny, I'm giving away my pick here. Denny has used before. Of course, I'm talking about Benny. And Benicio del Toro, Sicario, they worked together on that, but he's also known, obviously, for Usual Suspects, Traffic, and one of those Timothy Dalton Bond films. I can't remember which one. I guess I watched both of those movies. I watched them both together, and I never remember which one's which. But Benicio del Toro, I think he showed in Last Jedi, as much as I didn't like that movie, but what I liked about his performance is he showed that he can do more than just a straight evil tough guy. He can do like a little bit of a kind of a ratty kind of scoundrel, I think, and I think that's very much what Count Fenring was in this book. But there's something about him where I think even the Baron says that he's like the most evil and best fighter that he's ever seen. So I think you get someone that can show up when they have to, but can also just be kind of quite the scoundrel in the background if they have to. So I would just love to see that role cast, because I think they're a fascinating couple. And anytime you got more Bene Gesserits coming aboard, that's why I want to talk about Lady Margot Fenring here. Now, when I Fancast Dune 1, I had Amy Adams as my Lady Jessica. They had just worked together on Arrival, so it only kind of made sense. So I'm going to go ahead and do like I did with Hugh Jackman here. I'm going to kind of put her in here as Lady Fenring, a very, very strong Bene Gesserit that I think can be done really, really well by Amy Adams, because you're never going to see me saying not to cast Amy Adams in something. So these are roles I don't want to talk too much about, because in case you guys haven't read the book and you don't know what's going on with these, I think they're good, and there's something that can be stuff that can be elaborated upon if they do sequels. So that's why I'm okay with casting maybe some bigger names for some of these smaller roles. And if you guys watch Dune Part 1, there's some really big names in some smaller roles. This is one of those movies like Lord of the Rings, guys, where people just want to be a part of it, no matter how big or small the role is. So it's never dreaming too big to dream you can get an A-list actor for 10 minutes of screen time. I think they're more willing to do that than you think that they are. Let's talk about some of the really, really small ones I don't think anybody's really talking about. Now, Esmar Tuek died in Dune book, the first book, I guess the parts of the book we've already seen on film. He died in that Harkonnen attack on the Atreides at Arrakeen. So we can't have him in the movie unless they're really moving stuff back. This is a smuggler that is very instrumental in getting some of our characters out of Arrakeen during that attack. But we can obviously do his son, which is Staban Tuek, who actually is important again later books in the series. So I think we could do something like that. Unfortunately, I can't think of anyone to cast in a role like this. I say do something great. An actor that is a big, big fan of this book, give them this role. I think that would be really neat. And it doesn't have to be a major, major role. He's basically just a pilot. But hey, why not? Let's just throw an actor that is an actual real big fan of this book. I think that'd be a nice nod. Or then he can just go to his bench and pick one of his actors that he's used before. It's just I would like to see the Tueks get some kind of mention at least in this Dune Part 2 here. So that's why I'm kind of talking about them, even though I'm not going to cast anybody for those roles. How about Korba? Now, Korba is a Feyd-Rautha commando, a really big part of the Fremen. And with this is a role that I think if they end up making Dune Messiah, this can be a bigger role. So I think this can be a bigger name actor here. And that's why I'm going with an actor that I've been following his career for a long, long time. I would go with Mahershala Ali. I think that this guy is just phenomenal. I've been following his career since the 4400. You guys remember the 4400? I think they just reboot that. But the original 4400 on the USA Network, I thought he was really the standout in that show. But even I never thought he'd become an Academy Award winning actor. But he has. I mean, The Green Book, Moonlight, this guy can act his ass off. And I think the fact that it is a role that gets bigger in Dune Messiah, that's why I think, hey, you can go with a bigger name actor in case they do end up making a Dune Part 3, and it's someone that you can bring back and say, hey, look, check out this big name actor we've got in this significant role. So I would love to see that. I think it's a very, very important role, and I don't imagine that Korba will be a character that they just don't use. I can see other Fremen being characters that they don't use at all, or they're just off in the background and they don't have any screen time. But if you're going to use one outside of the big hitters here, I think that Korba would be the one, and I would love to see Mahershala in that role. I'm excited to see him as Blade, by the way. Another Fedaykin commando I talk about here is Otham. I don't know how many other people say it. With this guy is instrumental in learning the Weirding Way from Jessica and then teaching the Weirding Way to the rest of the Fighting Fremen, the Fedaykin. And I think that this would be a character that you need an actor who maybe has some martial arts skill. I think that would be the best idea because it probably wouldn't be a huge speaking role, but I really want them to go all in on showing the Weirding Way, the training of it, and the actual use of it. So I think getting an actor who's a little aged, but can maybe still fight a little bit. Now, I don't know, because both of these gentlemen are a little older. I don't know how much they can still get up at their age. Wesley Snipes is 59 years old. The guy is a licensed martial artist. I would love to see him in this role, kicking some ass. Again, but I also say I don't know, I don't want to just sound awful because, 59 isn't like dead, you guys. And this isn't like Harrison Ford being 90 and trying to do Indiana Jones movies. I think you can take care of yourself, and it's different than it used to be. I just don't know how much he can really, be doing running, spinning roundhouse kicks. I don't know. But again, I'm thinking Blade. I'm thinking Passenger 57 here of Wesley Snipes, and thinking I wouldn't mind seeing him play this role because I think he would really be great at it. The other one I kind of lean towards is Michael J. White. Michael J. White, Spawn, obviously, Tyson, Black Dynamite, but this guy can put up, And I saw him recently, and he's still jacked. So, I imagine he's still doing stuff. I don't know about how much he's really, again, I don't know how physical these guys can still be at their age, but I think in Hollywood movie magic, you can probably wing it just a little bit. But again, I think with both of those, hey, they can act, and hey, if they got to give line delivery, I think it's not going to be like you get a real martial artist out there and they can't act, and it's just like, oh, well, that just took me out of the movie. They can act and they can fight. So I think that's a role that you need to have some fighting if they do decide to cast that character. How about Hera? Now, Hera is the wife of Jameis, which, Paul dispatched at the end of Dune Part 1, obviously. So Hera is a character that is actually beholden to Paul when we would enter into this next section of the story. And I don't think it's a character they can just, completely scrap. But it's not a massive role. So this one, I'm going to admit, guys, I'm just going off of a look here. And when I saw this actress, I just said I could see her, like, compared to, like, Zendaya. And I'm saying I could see her in that same kind of garb, fitting in really, really well. Now, this is an actress called Alicia Bowe. She's on the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. I think she's really good on that show. So I said, hey, I really think that she has that Fremen look. I saw it recently, so that's why it kind of came to the forefront of my mind. I think they need to get, not everyone can be A-list actors here. So I'm really about, with roles like these, giving some maybe net TV or Netflix or Hulu or whatever, some of those streaming series, giving them a chance on the big screen and seeing if they can become a star. So I did want to kind of think about some of those things when I was doing some of these fan castings here. But again, I've only seen her in 13 Reasons Why. But again, I don't think it's such a major role that you have to worry that, oh, she's not going to be able to hold her own with this cast. I think she would do just fine, especially if they're trying to get some of these younger audiences in here, like they did with Zendaya, like they did with Timothée Chalamet. So that's kind of where I was thinking there. Now, this would be my absolute favorite one, guys. This is for the Reverend Mother Ramallo. She's a Fremen Sayadina. Now, I think that this is a character that's, pretty old. And I think about this actress, I think that she comes off much younger than she actually is in real life. She's about to hit 70. I'm talking about Shore, oh my God, I can never say her name. Aghdashloo. She is Avasarala on the TV series The Expanse. I think that this woman is magnificent. I love everything about her. Some people have a problem with her voice. I think it makes her just so much more awesome because it just seems like she's the type who was just chain smoking cigarettes in the 60s, like they were going away or something. But I just think she's just such an incredibly powerful actress. And this is an actress in this role, a character that elicits power. She's teaching Lady Jessica things here. And I think that that's something that you need, someone that you can take seriously as, okay, Lady Jessica's a badass. This one might be more badass. She's just at the end of her rope here. So I think that this would be a perfect casting. I can't see anyone else in this role, really. I think she's just phenomenal, and I think she would hit a grand slam in this role. And it needs to happen. Like I said, of all these I named, this is the one that I would be the most excited about if it actually happened. Now, when it comes to Aaliyah Atreides, I know that's the one everybody's been waiting for. I don't know, guys. Aaliyah is like 2 years old in this book. So I know that they're probably going to age her up just a little bit, and I'm not going to lie, I don't know very many actresses under the age of like 5 right now to really talk about. What I think this needs to be is an unknown. This needs to be someone that we've never heard of. It needs to be someone who can play the role. Now, I said, like they said, you got to age the role up a little bit. Also get someone who looks maybe a little younger than they actually are, but needs to deliver some of these lines with fire and intimidation like Aaliyah does. Aaliyah is a very important character in this series. So it doesn't matter who you cast her as now, because she does get aged up, obviously, over the course of the next couple of books. So, but it matters now. And again, I just think that I want to trust the casting seat on this one, that they're going to get a character who has that force at that young of an age. So someone who really understands the medium and isn't just cute, because this isn't a role that I think you need to cast a cute little actress to do. It's a very important role, and I'm just going to trust them on this one, that they're going to find a young actress who's just ready to be like the next big thing, right? So that's my hope, guys. So guys, that's how I would cast Dune Part 2. Sorry if it feels like I mailed it in on a couple of those. I just couldn't think of any really good answers. But again, I think some of this, I want to put some trust in the professionals on this, and trust that they're going to do what's best for this movie. So guys, do you have any headcanon of your own you want to talk about? I mean, I can go back and talk about, hey, when I first read this, who I imagined and stuff like that, but, you know, obviously some of those actors are a little aged now, because I did read the book almost 30 years ago for the first time. So I wouldn't really go there now. So let me know your picks down below. Let me know why mine suck. I'm sure that'll come up quite a bit, but that's fine. They're mine, you know, and I'm happy with you having different ones than me. So hit me in the comments, guys, and I will talk to you there.